Coming up tonight, the Prime Minister reveals the whereabouts of the country's Deputy Chief Medical Officer. Meanwhile, a man mourns his mother's COVID-19 death. And the Works Minister addresses Sidewalk drama.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Jared Higgs. Topping news tonight, Deputy Chief Medical Officer Dr. DeLon Brennan has relocated to the United States and is performing his role from Washington, D.C. The change in location was confirmed by Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis, who also defended the move. Jasmine Brown reports.
The Prime Minister made the impromptu statement to reporters outside Cabinet, where he confirmed that Brennan is working remotely from the United States.
There are rumors on social media and other media entity that DeLon Brennan is not here in New Providence, that he has moved. It is true, DeLon Brennan is still employed with the ministry. He's Deputy Chief Medical Officer. He has relocated, joined his family. His family lives in Maryland, and DeLon is stationed at the Washington, D.C. office, the embassy.
In addition to confirming that Dr. Brennan still retains his position at the Ministry of Health while working from the embassy office in Washington, Dr. Minnis also defended his relocation.
He works virtually every day by the ministry, and as a government and as a people, we would want to encourage families to be together. And therefore, in this new world of technology, where individuals can live in Japan and work at New Providence, they can live in the UK and work at New Providence, you don't necessarily have to live on that particular landmass to be employed.
Brennan has been at the forefront of the Bahamas' response to the COVID-19 pandemic, acting frequently as a spokesperson for the Ministry of Health. Over the past few months, there were widespread rumors that he planned to resign from his post. But Minnis said today that Brennan is working every day with a focus on establishing the protocols for entering the Bahamas as the country prepares for the ramping up of international flights.
He's responsible, working with the Ministry of Tourism, and his responsibility is really border control. He is taking the forefront and leading the charge in terms of border control, the protocols, what needs to be done, how it's done, etc., and doing all the data collection and assessment with that. But he's working along with the medical team. He's still employed with the medical team. And if it's necessary at any point in time that he needs to come to New Providence, a presence is required, then he will come.
The Prime Minister said he believes all Bahamians should prepare for the impact of increased ability to work remotely.
I would urge all Bahamians to become technologically savvy and advanced, because our jobs in the future can be jeopardized because an individual can be living in Ireland or New Zealand and working in Scotiabank or Royal Bank, etc.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Thanks, Jasmine. Well, the country is recording 150 new COVID-19 cases, according to the Ministry of Health, which also revealed that a 64-year-old woman on New Providence died from COVID-19 on Monday. Women make up 59% of new cases. 81 of the new cases are on New Providence, while Andros and Abaco each have one new case. However, the locations are pending for 67 new cases. This means officials are still trying to pinpoint locations for 320 cases. Meanwhile, hospitalized cases have risen to 119. 108 of those persons are said to be moderately ill, while 11 people are in the intensive care unit. With the country's public health care system overwhelmed by the surge in COVID-19 cases, some patients at PMH are being kept in the accident and emergency department for days due to insufficient space on hospital wards. Bertha McDermott tells us more.
Amid an increase in COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations, employees at Princess Margaret Hospital are reportedly being forced to treat patients in backrooms of the Accident and Emergency Department and in food courts at the hospital. Patients are also reportedly being kept in A&E as there is no space on the wards. Before the onset of the pandemic, Director of the Infectious Diseases Program, Dr. Nikia Forbes, said areas in the hospital were outfitted to provide care for COVID-19. However, during the second and more vicious wave of the virus, she said they were forced to adjust.
We did have to adapt and get resourceful and place patients in isolation rooms in the emergency department and in an area of the critical care block. It was shut off. It's no longer the cafeteria, but it used to be the food court. We had to change that so that we could provide care there. It's no longer the cafeteria. That's exactly the situation that is going on there.
The Nassau Guardian has reported that 4 wards at PMH were closed due to exposure. While Forbes could not confirm this, she said the closure of wards posed a significant challenge.
There can be instances, and certainly there were instances in the not too remote past where we have had to close wards so that we could get a handle on patients that presented with COVID that were asymptomatic, and we found out after they were admitted or they started to develop symptoms, and so therefore they were screened. So that is also a real challenge in COVID-19 as it relates to all hospitals and health facilities, and we're trying our best to mitigate against those challenges.
Health Minister Renwood Wells on Friday said the bed capacity at PMH is 70. Hospitalized cases have increased to 119, according to health officials, who say 76 of those patients are at PMH. 2 of those cases are in the intensive care unit.
As you can imagine, that's very difficult. Patients that have to be hospitalized, they need a certain level of support. And that is putting pressure on the healthcare system, and it is causing strain.
On Monday, the 30-bed field hospital provided by Samaritan's Purse became operational. According to Forbes, this should help in alleviating some of the strain on PMH.
There's a criteria for which patients could be in the facility there based upon how much oxygen can be delivered.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Concerns mounting over the increasing number of COVID-19 cases at Bahamas Power and Light. BPL Union President Kyle Wilson, who is currently battling the virus, says COVID is sweeping through the company.
We are pushing through the family island. Some had to even be airlifted into Nassau for treatment. It's just sweeping through the corporation.
Bahamas Electrical Workers Union President Kyle Wilson says his department alone has been struggling with manpower due to more and more staff members contracting the virus. Speaking with Our News from quarantine as he battles coronavirus, Wilson said his experience went from being contacted by BPL management after he was exposed on the job to being hospitalized when things got scary.
What was really frightening about it is at the same time that I was in the hospital, I heard that a nurse died. And it really frightened me, and caused my even blood pressure to even elevate. It made me fearful to the point that I made myself so sick. My pressure rose and I was even coughing up blood.
Although he's already been home for 2 months, Wilson says he is following the company's policy of remaining there until he tests negative. However, he's still concerned about his coworkers and union members, as he says at times the nature of their job makes it difficult to avoid contact.
Especially from the technical aspect. You can't social distance. Unfortunately, both of us have to hold a tool sometimes. Both of us have to be in proximity. And both of us have to be in a small enclosed space. Sometimes those spaces are less than 6 feet small. We're almost breathing in the same air. There are situations where you have to communicate, where almost wearing a mask would actually be a danger to the job.
Now, several BPL offices are still open for business, and what Wilson says he gives management credit for are the restrictive measures put in place.
I can truly say that they put people above the process.
We reached out to BPL CEO Whitney Hasty, who said the company has put in place several measures to curb the spread of the virus among staff, like splitting shifts and ensuring there's a rotation to reduce the interaction of employees. While he could not say how many employees have contracted the virus, he said there has been some impact, but we've been able to maintain a safe operation. Fortunately, there's been minimal impact to the critical operation areas, but we, like everybody else, we've sustained some of our employees having to come down with the virus. Now, as they continue to come into work every day, Wilson says he applauds his colleagues and encourages them to continue to do what they must to remain safe on the job. Reporting from BPL for Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
A 26-year-old man is mourning the death of his mother, who died in hospital after contracting COVID-19.
People dying every day, and it really shook me when my mom died.
46-year-old Lakeisha Lundy Green went to hospital to get treatment for an ulcer on her foot. The diabetic woman was ready to be discharged, but there was one more thing.
But they'll have to test her for COVID.
That test came back positive, and the woman's son, 26-year-old Dudley Green, said it was a downward spiral from there. He added he could sense his mother's spirit dwindling.
After they told her she got tested positive, I could have noticed it was about to end.
Lundy Green's positive test came back on September 18th. By September 22nd, the family-loving party planner was dead. Her only child says she was lonely in hospital. He thinks it caused a lot of mental anguish.
I think what's killing people right now in the hospital is that they're dying alone. That aloneness, that being by yourself, and she was in a room by herself.
Green says he and his mother grew closer after her separation from his father 8 years ago. The woman battled health issues throughout her life. She was starting to go blind and had to stop her job as a paralegal in 2015. Family members were eager to have a normal funeral with social distancing. But days before the October 10th service, new restrictions were announced.
This whole process, we didn't have the inner family. We didn't have proper time to grieve.
Lundy Green's death comes amid a vicious second wave of the coronavirus here in the country. The death toll currently stands at 124, and officials confirmed 150 new cases on Tuesday morning. The grieving son admits that he wasn't taking the virus seriously, but now his stance has changed.
From now on, I will be taking this extremely serious because I don't want to lose anyone else close to me, near to me, or someone I care about.
Amid public uproar over the government's decision to carry out major public works during the COVID-19 pandemic that has driven thousands of Bahamians to the unemployment line, Public Works Minister Desmond Bannister is continuing to defend the move. He said the project, which has been dubbed by some critics as a $20 million sidewalk initiative, will not only help to feed families but will also stimulate the economy.
I've heard some of the criticism. I'm going to answer it. But let me start at the beginning. It is not a $20 million sidewalk initiative. It is a $20 million stimulus initiative. That stimulus initiative involves community parks, it involves drainage, it involves family island works, including docks and other things. So I read somewhere this morning where there was a $20 million sidewalk initiative. That is not correct.
Bannister said sidewalk construction is a small aspect of the project, adding that out of the $20 million allocated, only $2 million will be spent on sidewalks. The opposition has blasted the government for spending money on a sidewalk project, and some Bahamian families are struggling to put food on the table. Since the start of the pandemic in March, roughly 40,000 Bahamians have lost their jobs. But Bannister said the initiative is about giving Bahamians jobs to provide for their families.
I think we all grew up with this biblical understanding that it's better to teach a man to fish, where you can feed him for a lifetime, where he can feed himself for a lifetime rather than giving him fish.
More news on the way, but here's a first look at weather with meteorologist Greg Thompson. Good night, Greg.
Thanks, Jared. I'm meteorologist Greg Thompson with your first look at weather. Outside our studios, breezy conditions, some partly cloudy skies, temperatures around 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Your winds are out of the east at 12 knots. Feels like temperature around 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Satellite-wise, across the area, we have a trailing trough out of our Epsilon out there in the open Atlantic, bringing quite a bit of moisture, as well as some tropical moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico. Cloudy conditions across the island, some showers and thunderstorms occurring, and they will continue through tonight. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on Our News, bad news for Junkanoo fans. Plus, government facing an uphill battle with North Andros Shantytown. Stay with us.
This is a huge deal. NFL Sunday Ticket is back, only with Rev Trio. All day football, all day Sunday. Enjoy all the benefits of Trio with a huge extra. Never miss a game with NFL Sunday Ticket, included in your Rev Trio bundle. All you have to do is opt in. TV, phone, and internet starting at just $99. Call 601-8992 to sign up now. Visit www.rev.bs/promotions for details.
It is highly unlikely that there will be Junkanoo parades in any format this Junkanoo season, according to Junkanoo Corporation of New Providence Chairman Dion Miller. Last Tuesday, Youth, Sports and Culture Minister Lanisha Roll said a decision would soon be made on whether Junkanoo could be held virtually. However, Miller says it doesn't seem possible as it's far too late for groups to prepare with no assistance from sponsors and no money to buy pricey supplies.
It's already basically in Junkanoo terms November, and so that puts Junkanoo groups and Junkanooers some 4 weeks away from the quote-unquote the big day. Another challenge that we're still facing and dealing with is funding. It isn't clear who will fund such an event. All of the sponsors, the major sponsors in Junkanoo Corporate Bahamas, this year due to the pandemic just don't have the funds and the resources.
Miller says a meeting was scheduled to take place with the minister and other stakeholders back in August to determine the way forward. However, that hasn't happened. He encouraged Junkanoo groups to focus their attention on keeping their members safe and looking forward to Junkanoo in 2021.
Because we were not able to get on the same page, it threw the whole planning and the execution of such an adventure out of whack. And like I said, it's basically November now. It's too late. There's a lot going on. So I think the probability is highly unlikely that there be such a venture this year.
Government officials are having issues with shantytowns on North Andros. Works Minister Desmond Bannister said it is complicated because most residents have work permits and live on private land.
It's a very complex socio and economic situation in Andros. And these are issues that are going to have to be addressed by a number of government agencies. So what you have is a large group of, not a large group, but a fairly medium-sized group of non-Bahamians, who many of whom are on work permits. They are working in communities, but they cannot live in those communities. And people have been getting work permits and leaving them to fend for themselves.
Bannister, who recently visited the Andros communities, said employers who secure permits should be held accountable for ensuring that their employees have housing. He said he visited 3 sites and saw up to 50 structures.
There were 3 sites that we visited, and there were maybe 40, 50 homes. And most of them have been there a very long time, many, many, many years. Many of these people have been in the Bahamas for many years. So it is not a simple solution of a lot of illegal immigrants. It's an issue of people getting permits, being farm workers, and their employers not being required to account for where they live.
When Our News comes back from the break, we speak with a gym owner struggling to stay afloat amid another round of gym closures. Stay tuned.
This is a huge deal. NFL Sunday Ticket is back, only with Rev Trio. All day football, all day Sunday. Enjoy all the benefits of Trio with a huge extra. Never miss a game with NFL Sunday Ticket, included in your Rev Trio bundle. All you have to do is opt in. TV, phone, and internet starting at just $99. Call 601-8992 to sign up now. Visit www.rev.bs/promotions for details.
Central Bank of the Bahamas launched its Sand Dollar project today. Project manager Kim Wood-Mott said the program creates an avenue for small businesses to modernize and compete with larger businesses. He added the system is even more important now as the pandemic has prompted many businesses to go digital.
A device that you basically swipe by another device, not even have to physically touch it. Even with a credit card, it has to either exchange hands or you swipe it through a machine, card after card. However, the Sand Dollar, using a digital wallet on an actual mobile device, there's only the actual scanning of the QR code or the actual transmission, similar to a text message, to actually conclude a transaction. So therefore, if you think about, for instance, there's additional safety there, as well as the fact that there's not a lot of heavy cash that are actually being held on the site.
Mott added that the project strengthens the country's national defense against money laundering. There are several approved financial institutions that can sign up merchants and consumers. Mott said the Sand Dollar project will bring solutions to some of the family island communities that no longer have banks.
You don't have to worry about the actual risk involved with the actual transferring of funds from one location to the other, be it trying to transfer a large sum of funds to the Family Islands to cover payroll, or basically just trying to make a night deposit right here for your end-of-day transactions and sales. So we do see all of those things are going to benefit most of the merchants.
The owner of a small gym says he's trying to stay afloat during the pandemic by offering his services online. However, 35-year-old Matson Delancey says he thinks his gym and other businesses should be allowed to operate with safety protocols.
Most definitely. We've taken every precaution that we could, and me in particular, I have, from touchless hand sanitizers to just disinfectors everywhere. I have a diffuser that consistently sprays out a disinfectant fume within the room since I have limited ventilation. But outside of that, by even cutting down the amount of people that come per session, those people who come in, they stick to the protocols, they stay healthy, they're fine, nobody's temperature is over the amount that it should be, and so on and so forth.
Gyms were closed on New Providence in the latest round of restrictions imposed on residents. Gyms were only open a few days when they were forced to close again. Despite the challenges with his business during the pandemic, Delancey says he's sticking to it.
I left my main job to do this passion. I did this while working for another business, and as soon as I got the chance that I can get that to the right footing, I moved forward full force to make the best impact that I could, and to make sure that any funds that I receive, of course, going forward, whether it be the liabilities or the assets, everything is on me. So definitely I would not, as many people have asked and said, all right, how are you going to change, or are you going to go online only, or are you going to give up? Definitely not. I am definitely going to stick this through until I can.
Still to come, what's happening in sports, and later the Royal Fidelity Market Watch, so stay with us.
We share our stories because there is power in every story.
There is hope in every story.
There is healing
in every story.
Our stories will inspire you.
They will change you.
They will empower you.
Because there is freedom in every story.
Join me, Erlene Camille, and my guests every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. and Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. for powerful, revealing, life-changing stories. Journey TV, we share life's truths.
An NFL doubleheader on Monday night. Marcellus Hall has that and more in tonight's edition of Sports.
An absolute delight for football fans last night as they had not one but two games to take advantage of. And let's take a look right now and see exactly how those games turned out, as well as get you all set up for World Series Game 1. A Monday Night Football feast last night as the NFL presented not one but two games for fans to enjoy. In the early game, the defending champion Kansas City Chiefs bounced back nicely against the Buffalo Bills. Chiefs rookie running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire rushing for 161 yards on the ground. Patrick Mahomes, 21 of 26 for 225 yards and 2 touchdowns. That set the record for the youngest player to reach 90 touchdowns in NFL career. That all added up to a comfortable 26-17 victory. Chiefs improved to 5-1. Bills with their second consecutive loss, they dropped to 4-2. In the feature contest, the Dallas Cowboys finding out that life without injured quarterback Dak Prescott not so sweet. Cowboys pounded by the Arizona Cardinals 28-10. Cardinals QB Kyler Murray accounting for 3 of those scores, 2 passing and 1 rushing. Cardinals with the win improved to 4-2. They're second in the NFC West. Cowboys, despite the loss, still first in the horrible NFC East at 2-4. Meanwhile, Game 1 of the MLB World Series comes your way tonight. LA Dodgers taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Tyler Glasnow on the mound for the Rays. Veteran Clayton Kershaw, he gets the nod for the Dodgers. It is a best of 7. And we will indeed have all the results from the World Series Game 1 tonight between the Dodgers and the Rays. One of these teams will be up 1-0 in a best of 7. Reporting for Our News, I'm Marcellus Hall.
And that's a look at news. We throw it back to meteorologist Greg Thompson for the extended weather forecast.
Thanks again, Jared. In our second look at weather across the area satellite-wise, still have that tropical moisture hanging in the Western Caribbean, producing some cloudiness across our area. We also have a trailing trough out of Epsilon across our area as well. That will continue to keep unsettled conditions across the area tonight through tomorrow. Your boating forecast for the northwest and central Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. An advisory posted for you boaters out there. East winds 15 to 25 knots, very rough seas, 5 to 8 foot. Across the southeast Bahamas, we expect those winds to be easterly at 15 knots, seas running 4 to 7 feet. Your high tide will be at 11:39 tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Sunday. That's a look at our weather. Have a safe night, everyone.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by Royal Fidelity, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
Thank you for joining us for Our News Tonight. To catch Our News on the go, download the Rev Go Play app. On behalf of the entire newsroom, I'm Jared Higgs. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.